One. Hey guys, we're back. Like, comment, subscribe. We are doing some more baseball content today. If you haven't already, check out our Trevor Bauer videos. We did a few regarding him going to both the Padres and Blue Jays. With those two teams being mentioned again, we're going to remain talking about one of them, the Toronto Blue Jays, again in the news. There's been talks about them potentially getting a pitcher who they've had before, a man known as Liam Hendriks. Do you think the Blue Jays will get him? And if they do, what do you think this does for their roster if they do acquire Liam Hendriks?
So I think it's actually a very high chance of him going there. People start forgetting. Like I know he just visited the Dunedin complex, and that's why we're talking about it right now. Because he did visit the complex. He's talking to the team right now. That complex has actually been totally renovated since he played for the Blue Jays. All right, wrong Toronto team. Since he played for the Blue Jays a couple years ago. Remember, Liam Hendriks used to be a starter in this league. He came to Toronto halfway through the year whenever they were making their runs back in 2014. He played ho-hum that year, didn't do anything special. The following year, he came out of the bullpen and had the best year of his career. That year in Toronto might be why Liam Hendriks is in the MLB.
So you're saying he owes this one?
I say that he knows what we bring to the table. I think he knows that the last couple years, he probably didn't want to be with us because we were rebuilding and he wanted to win. And so I can see him coming back because he knows that we're going to be going into contention. And he knows what we can bring for him, what we can do for him. He's a way better pitcher now than when he was back then. And he was a very good pitcher for us back then. This would move the Toronto lineup so much. So yes, do I think that they can get him? I think they can. I think he'll go there on a reasonable contract, not get too overpaid, because closers typically don't get too overpaid when compared to starting pitchers. So I think this will be a great move for Toronto, and I think there's a very high chance of him going there. He might not know Shapiro on the personal level, because he did get traded there by Anthopoulos, but he knows the Toronto organization. It might not be any of the same players, but the organization is still the same. So I can definitely see him going back there, and I think that Toronto would be much better for it as well. This would be a fantastic closing. But what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of what they need, it's exactly what they need, where aside from Bauer and giving them some more depth in that starting rotation, they didn't have anyone with over 7 closes last year. And I know it was a shortened season and Hendriks didn't have that much more either technically, but there's no one on that roster who I would say is just a runaway closer for them. So if you're a playoff team, not only that, if you're a team that wants to contend, you do need that marquee bullpen guy. And they are missing that. And I think that's obviously something where if Hendriks could keep up his consistency over the last 2 years, he truly brings it. He truly, over the last 2 years, numbers-wise, has been similar to some of the best closers in the league. And that allows the Blue Jays to have that element where guys like the Yankees forever had guys like Rivera, the Red Sox, between Papelbon and Craig Kimbrell, as well. So
Every great team has one.
Yeah, so I think that's something where it helps them a lot. The big thing for the Jays, I feel like if they only bring in Hendriks, it doesn't necessarily move the needle for them, where it might help them a bit. They might still be a playoff team, but I think they need at least 2 of the 3 players they've been linked to actually be in the talks for like a contending team, whether it's a combination of Springer Hendriks, Springer Bauer, Bauer Hendriks. If they get 2 out of 3 of those guys, I think there could be real discussions if the Toronto Blue Jays will contend or not. But if they only get Hendriks, I think he's the least valuable of those 3, and he'll have the least impact that regard. But again, if they could add him and another player, that's exactly what the Blue Jays need.
So that's what I'm thinking the same way. To me, this means the Blue Jays want to contend this year. They see an opening for the year. They see this team finally making that next leg up. They haven't been spending the last couple of years. They know they have this great crop of young players, and adding another player like this does make them a bit better. Does it move the needle? Does it make them a championship contender this year? That I'm not sure of. And does it make them a playoff team? I already think they're a playoff team. So it's tough on that end. I think that this signals them competing this year. This signals Rogers Corporation in Toronto, the owners spending money going back to spending money, which is tough to do in a year where they might not even play in Toronto this year. If they do end up bringing him in and someone else, which by doing that they can actually contend this year, even if it's Hendriks and Springer, if they miss out on Bauer, they can still, they don't have a horrible outfield right now. They can trade one of those players for an above average starter, and make up that hole if it is that weak. So I think this just signals them contending this year. That's another move that shows that they are linked to these major players, and that major players aren't just throwing the name Blue Jays out there to raise bidding prices. They're actually considering coming to us, which is fantastic to see. Our best ever free agent signing before this was probably Russell Martin. So this is a whole nother level. But Hendriks, he can actually come affordably because he can probably sign for a 3 or 4 year contract, and they have the cash right now. They have the cash to sign 2 guys. Will Rogers not be too happy this year? Probably not. But even if these guys are the same players and they don't win this year, they're even more contending the year after. Because these star players like Bauer, Hendriks, Springer, they might not have a career year next year or the year after, but even if they're at career averages and the rest of the Blue Jays players take that next step, then it's a very scary team. So I definitely see that the signing of Hendriks signals them throwing money out there and bringing in one of these other guys because they're available right now.
Yeah, and I don't even think Rogers would be unhappy if it relates to playoff success. I think they would forget how much they're spending. For anyone who's not Canadian, Rogers is one of the largest companies in the entire country.
Noticeably cheap.
Yeah, they definitely are. But again, like if there's results, I think they're going to be more than happy with it. So even if they signed all 3 guys, I don't think they'd be upset if it resulted in a win. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but yeah, I don't think Rogers is going to be the issue here. Definitely not.
No, because they've been saving money in the last couple of years, and they knew in the last run that they want to spend. Everyone's been hating on Shapiro since he's been there because they think that they got rid of all the players that we were contending with. You put those players together right now in 2020, 2021, that's not a playoff team, and you're still paying them $20 million a year per. So you know what? We saved some money the last couple of years. Blue Jays fans are pissed off about it. Sure, why not? We didn't sign Eddie. We didn't sign Jose. Cool. We don't care. This team is really good right now, and they have a chance to sign these players again. And the pocketbook can open up, and we can make some major moves by doing this.
Definitely.
So I definitely am all for it.
Definitely. But let us know what you guys think in the comments. Give us some likes. Give us your feedback. Give us a subscribe. And we'll see you guys next time.